I'll call the meeting to order on Wednesday, October the 12th. It's approximately 6:37 p.m. And because we're on a Zoom meeting, I need all of the members to do a roll call. So I need to hear your voice. I'll start with Bob Lancaster, please.
Robert Lancaster here.
Patricia? Oh,
Crook present.
awesome. Hi, DJ.
How we doing?
Good. Tyler
Hagenstein here.
and Patricia. Try and unmute. We can't hear you. Still can't hear you.
Bill Cherapon. Bill Cherapon.
Oh, great. Hi, Bill. And Patricia.
Yo,
Awesome. Glad you were both here. I do have to read the notice. Please note that tonight's meeting is recorded and broadcast on Channel 18 and in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20. I must inquire whether anyone is taping this meeting and to please make their presence known. Having fulfilled that duty, our first order of business is to approve the minutes from September the 14th. They were emailed to us by Alicia probably a day or two ago, I think. Everybody get a copy of those?
We did.
Right. So, Bob, you're on the screen. Would you move?
I would move that we approve the minutes of September 14th, 2022.
Right. It's been moved. Do I hear a second?
second.
Great. So they've been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented signify by a roll call vote. And I'll start with you, Patricia.
Patricia Farina, aye.
And Bill,
Aye.
DJ. DJ Crook. DJ,
Yes.
how do you vote on the approval of the minutes?
I approve. Sorry.
Okay. Tyler
Hagenstein, I approve.
and
But
Bob Lancaster
aye.
and Stuart Rapp, I vote in the affirmative as well. So the minutes have approved. The minutes from the September 14, 2022 meeting have been approved. I am going to now move on to Chairman's comments. I don't have any at this moment. And I'm going to go to item number 3, Natural Resources Report. Amy, the floor is yours.
Oh, wonderful. Somebody
Or
do
the
a
screen.
thing back in Zoom again where I share the screen and it gets mad at me every time, but we're going to try it. Okay, everyone can see that all right?
Yes.
Okay. So we have our shellfish permit sales comparatively year to date on income and totals, but for this snapshot of time, September 21 to 22, you can see resident senior permits. We are same, non-resident permits were up, resident permits were up, veteran permits of both types were up, seasonal permits are no longer valid. And so we are still about 150, it looks like, permits ahead of where we were last year, which just continues to be the trend following the pandemic and people realizing that it's just a lot more fun to be outside. And so, yeah, close to, oh gosh, 20,000, a little over like $24,000 more in the budget than we had in previous years. If anyone has any questions specific to this, I would send them probably Nina's way since we have the pleasure of having her today. Does anyone have any questions regarding these numbers? All right, hearing none, I will move on to the next slide, which are a lot of map updates. So November tends to be a pretty busy time of year in terms of areas opening as water quality gets better with less sort of usage and loading. You can see we will have the West Bay Relay area, which is our Bridge Street recreational area. This is effective October 8th. We're still closed. However, moving into November 1st and ahead of oyster season, we will have the amount of boats appropriate to reopening the Bridge Street mooring area. We do have some oysters there that people can harvest. Bay Street will be open. And then of course, we'll also have Scudder. I have two maps here effective for November 1st because the Katuitt Town Landing mooring area is quite extensive. And there are still more than 20 boats in that area. It could be different by the time we get to November 1st. If it is different by the time we get to November 1st, we will have this open area here. We do still have young oysters off of the Katuitt Bay Relay area off the town dock. So that will remain closed to harvest for now, till next year, essentially. On the left-hand side, you have Mill Creek, Hallett's Pond. That is literally the Yarmouth town line that runs through the middle of the creek off of Route 6A down Kevney Lane. I have heard that this area is a lovely little scallop sanctuary, but we do know that we have lots of baby scallops basically all over Barnstable Harbor, and we don't know where any of them go as adults because none of them tend to hang around. We also have our opening of half of Shoestring Bay coming up November 1st, both water quality pending from Division of Marine Fisheries. We have the November 1st update, which shows the opening of Mill Creek for all of Barnstable Harbor with the recreational area at Scudder remaining closed because it's a Tuesday until the following day, Wednesday, when we have opening day of oyster season, and that area will be open to harvest. And this is a blow up of what the area will look like. We do have a couple of areas that are closed, as we often have younger quahogs for following years planted under nets within the sort of to the right or east of the landing, and then to the west, our typical propagation area where we have this year's babies of oysters hanging out. We have two different renditions because of mooring area closures in Hyannis, water quality pending. This area here in Lewis Bay will open up November 1st without any issue. The mooring area, however, closure, there's still more than 20 boats in this area. So come November 1st, if there's still more than 20 boats, it will remain closed. Come November 1st, if there are less than 20 boats, this is what that will look like in open status. Scallop season reminder, we opened recreationally on the 1st of October. I've seen probably 1.5 bushels in total come out of there recreationally off of Calmus with people using viewing boxes and dip nets. Opened commercially on the 3rd of October. Haven't managed to catch any commercial or wild harvesters landing, which is often tricky because in this town it tends to happen at Gary Brown Ram. Oyster season reminder, we're opening recreationally only on November 2nd, which is a Wednesday. Tide's pretty much smack dab in the middle of the day. We have oysters at Scudder Lane, Bridge Street in Osterville, and Bay Street in Osterville, with a note that parking compliance will be enforced in full this year at all locations. So, you know, if you don't have a beach sticker, make sure that you're parking in areas that are allowed for people who do not have beach stickers. This is our annual Bay Street commercial closure, so effective from the landing and out to, if you're facing the water, the right. We will be closing that area to commercial harvest Tuesday, November 1st. It will, however, be opening February 15th when the Mills River and Prince Cove open to commercial harvest. In previous years, we left it closed because we were using it massively as an oyster grow out area and we don't have a wild fishery for oysters. Moving forward, because of Dermo and because we're going to eventually phase that area out for at least 3 years to let it lie fallow to manage our disease. We will be inviting commercial harvest back in because everyone should be able to dig the quahogs of 3 days. Shellfish Advisory Panel updates. I tried to sort of stick in as many things as I could that are happening in November also because I won't be present at the November meeting. So Nina and Ben will be spearheading that. It'll be your annual propagation report at that meeting, which will also be held via Zoom. But I am on the Shellfish Advisory Panel for the state. I've been assigned, or sort of say, have volunteered to be on a subcommittee on bulk tagging. That meeting will be via Microsoft Teams on the 9th of November at 9 a.m. Essentially, we're looking into allowing potentially wild harvester, but definitely aquaculturists who are not wholesale dealers at getting into bulk tagging, which is currently something that's been allowed for wholesale dealers for a number of years now under sort of a pilot program that's been in my honest opinion, kind of dragged out. And then the actual Shellfish Advisory Panel meeting will be held in person at the Hanover Library from 3 to 7 p.m. on the 15th of November. I do plan on attending that meeting if I get back from Florida on time. Otherwise, I'm not able to be at that one either because I'm in Florida for both these meetings. And then the last thing I have for you was shared by Mike Cahill, the Plymouth Shellfish Constable, to the Massachusetts Shellfish Officers Association website. They have been working with Plymouth Economic Development Foundation and ProMare to develop a Blue Future Conference. The goal of the conference is to introduce new and future technologies that support a traditional marine economy, advancing the management of marine sources, including fisheries, energy, aquaculture, sanctuaries, cultural heritage, and climate mitigation and adaptation. Conference is scheduled for October 24th and 25th, located on the Plymouth waterfront. There will be 3 breakout sessions, including ocean harvest, marine technology and practice, and blue workforce development. Due to demand for information on ocean harvest, they're also developing an aquaculture-centric roundtable. So speakers will be from NOAA, from Island Creek, from Division Marine Fisheries, from the town of Plymouth, from Duxbury Sugar Kelp, Whitwell Sea Grant, town of Plymouth. Like, there will be quite a few people presenting. So I just thought, I just got this recently, but that would be valuable information for everyone. And unless anyone has any questions on any of that, I will pass it over to Nina to go in for our recreational shellfish permit change of expiration date, which was discussed at a previous meeting, but there was no formal vote taken from the committee. So we would like a vote on that today.
Great. Any questions for Amy? As always, great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Nina, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We did discuss this when I was considering a change in our recreational, I'm sorry, my dog is going to be barking, our recreational shellfish expiration date. So I'm trying to, just to refresh everybody's memory, I'm trying to change all of the MEA permits to a calendar year. There's a bunch of reasons to do this. We're trying to be less confusing so that right now all our permits at MEA are expiring, or were expiring on different days and different times of the year, and it was very confusing. Just as an example, shellfish expires, as you know, on March 1st. Standing neck permits expire on April 15th. And then dog tags expire with the fiscal year. So just that's hard enough to remember, even for me, let alone for a resident in our town. So we're trying to have them all expire around the same time. And we're also wanting to present essentially one invoice, so that right around the first of the year, a resident would receive an invoice that would have all of their applicable town permits on, including your mooring permits, slip permits, and as I mentioned, the other ones, standing neck, shellfish. So we're moving everything into a calendar year, which I think ultimately is going to be good. I did this with standing neck last year, and there definitely is a little bit of work through the transition. And so what I wanted to propose tonight is to get a vote for this, because it does need to go into the shellfish regulations. And And so what I'm suggesting is that our recreational permits run January 1st through January 15th. And I'm giving that extra 15-day buffer because it's right around the holidays, right around the first of the year. And we don't want our permits to expire on the last day of the year and then have everybody wanting to shellfish on January 1st, which is historically a nice day to shellfish. So we're trying to give that buffer for the recreational folks and also for staff so that we can just kind of slide through the holiday and work on the renewals. Through Sandy Neck, I learned that we really need to prorate that first year. So if you're an avid, enthusiastic Barnstable shellfisher person, you would have a permit a present permit, a 2022 permit that expires on March 1st. And if you were to buy their 2023 permit, you would, for 2 months, have a permit that you'd have 2 valid permits. And essentially, you'd be paying for 2 permits during the month of January and February. So what we would like to do just for this year is prorate those renewals for those first 2 months. And so what I would like to do is, again, until March 1st, folks that are renewing, not a new permit, but a renewal, would have a reduced rate. And the reduced rates would be $33 for residents, $25 for senior residents, and $117 for our non-residents. And so then starting March 1st, we would go back to the full price. So I do need a vote on this. I would need to make a regulation change. And then we would also need to do a fee hearing for these changes for this for this 1 year. That would go before the town manager.
Great.
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
The committee have any questions?
Yeah, which makes sense.
Great. So, Bob, would you move this?
I would
Recreational
move that we approve the suggested renewal fees for the year 2023
Great.
as presented.
As presented. It's been moved. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Great. Thank you. So
I have a-
discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, Chris, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Stuart. So will there be an advance opportunity for people to sign up for a fee, for their permit in December,
Mhm.
as has been done in the past? So when in the past where the permit has been expired or runs from March 1st, there has been an opportunity for people to apply for a permit in February.
Mhm.
So will there be a similar advance permit so that on the day, on January 1st, someone can be legally permitted to go shellfishing?
Yes, so thank you for that question. I've been working very hard on trying to figure out the flow of this. And it's not just shellfish, it's the whole MEA department. And so the way that we're going to do it this year and future years is early December, we will be sending out login links. And it'll be an opportunity for folks to go in and apply for permits, multiple permits, be it Sandy Neck or mooring, provide the required information. So a resident may or may not need to provide proof of residency. And that period of time until the last day of December is for folks to get all their paperwork in order, agree to abide by the regulations. So this is all through our mooring info system. The invoice does not show the fee until a staff member approves the application. So we're going to have all that period of time, pretty much December, for staff to be reviewing these applications. The invoice, if somebody has done all that work, the invoice will be sent at midnight on the last day of the year. And so on the first day of year, all you need to do is pay for it. And as we know, once you pay for it, it's immediately available digitally. Having said that, that still was leaving the issue with the first of the year. And that's why we have them expiring on the 15th of the year. It's just too much to try to push through a really difficult time of the year.
But
That
to
answer your
be
question, Chris?
clear, all 2022 permits will be valid until
Mhm.
March 1st of 2023.
Right.
So you're still, if you're just renewing, you're covered until March. But should you decide to renew earlier than, you'll be sent that notification in December and will be able to pay like beginning first of the year.
So
Right out of the gate.
potentially you could
Along-
walk around with 2 licenses for until the 22 permit expires.
That is a very interesting comment, Stuart. We have brought up that concern because
Yeah.
typically we only have to look for double dippers in the, holding the same license from 1 year and the next for about 2 weeks. Whereas this would be more like 2 months.
Right.
So we are asking that we figure out how to issue the same permit numbers to people annually to make that a better transition for us as enforcement agents.
Mhm.
But I can guarantee you that we'll take the time to look through all those numbers if we feel like we saw somebody more than once.
Okay.
It's gotta be a way they can just.
Any other questions or discussion about the motion that's on the floor, which is to approve or not approve the recreational shellfish permit changes? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. And I'll start with Bill,
Affirmative, agreed.
Patricia,
Agree.
Tyler. Tyler? How do you vote on the motion?
Sorry, getting used to the mute, unmute thing again. Sounds good. Sounds
Okay.
great.
So that's
That's a yes,
okay, great.
100%.
DJ,
I approve.
thank you. Who have I missed?
Me,
Bob. Oh, I thought you were replaced by your dog.
yeah, well, there's hardly much difference.
So
Bob, you're drinking out of the wrong dish.
so how do you vote on the motion?
Aye,
Okay, and Rap, I'll vote in the affirmative as well. Thank you very much, Nina.
Yeah, I'd like to just add one thing, if I could, Stuart.
Yes.
The aquaculture and commercial shellfish years are going to stay the same for other reasons, but
Okay.
just to be clear that we'll still be following those old timelines.
All right, great. I'm going to move on to item number 5, upcoming and old renewal and transfer hearings. There are none. Number 6 is proposed coastal projects. My agenda has 3.
yep.
Do we have any of the applicants? I see, well, they've all taken place. The hearings at the Conservation
Yeah.
Commission appear to have all taken place.
Yeah,
Amy,
they've all gone by.
Yeah,
I can touch base on all of them if
That'd be
you have
great.
interest in them. I did put together a couple of, my hokey snipped and cut slides here. So the first project you guys have listed was for Michael J. Gill trustee, 52 and 72 North Bay Road. And that is right here inside of North Bay. It's these 2 properties right here. One has a house, one does not. The one that does not have a house is the one that has the dock that they wanted to make changes to. They have this existing pier, ramp, and float. We're asking for a variance to do 400 square feet rather than 200 because of the 2 properties to accommodate these larger vessels, which I did not take screenshots of the vessels, but they all have adequate clearance for where bottom is, so they're not in threat of hitting bottom, even I don't think on extreme tides. This is your typical pier section and profile. This went before the commission, and it was an interesting discussion in that they had initial issue with the fact that they were looking at a 400 square foot float and sort of extension for a property that doesn't have a house on it. But realistically, because the pier already is permitted for the property that doesn't have a house on it, here, they were saying, well, we could come back before the commission to put in an additional pier. And so wouldn't it be in the best interest of the commission to look at this as like the lesser of two evils? There was some back and forth, and essentially they are asking them to come back with revised plans that have better details on the specific boats. But I do believe that it's going to be approved. The shellfish surveys, both done by Dave Ryan and by our department, just show it's a muck pit, essentially, where they're trying to do work here and just really unsuitable and degraded habitat. And so the thought is that they'll have revised plans with better descriptions of which boat will be where, and that there will be a deed restriction in perpetuity on both lots that will have to be approved by town council, that there will be no dock allowed on the other property ever. So this would be like at maximum where they could be with that. I don't really think that we could ask for anything better in that type of situation, given that it's, you know, rated a 3 and has very
so.
if you have any questions on it, let me know, but that's basically all the information I have on that.
Great job. Thank you, Amy.
The next one, which also went to Conservation Commission and is most maintenance dredging was approved. So we have here Bismore Marina. You can see all of the existing docks here, and they're doing maintenance dredging essentially to make it navigable again, whereas right now it quite simply is not. And that went through conservation and was approved. And then just last night, I heard from Cameron Larson after they went before conservation, and I honestly don't know how this ended up coming to us other than it's on the coast, but essentially where before they denned underneath the Craigville bathhouse, we had fox denning underneath the CBA changing rooms. And there's been a lot of sand that's built up here, and they would like to take this sand here and move it back onto the beach. And there's no shellfish there. They are going to have to go back before conservation on October 25th, but simply because they didn't have a comment letter yet from Natural Heritage, and that is an area that has plovers every single year. And so they expect to hear back from Natural Heritage on the 22nd, and then we'll go back before the Conservation Commission on the 25th. And other than time of year restrictions that would be put in place, by Natural Heritage for migratory, endangered, and threatened species, I really don't see any shellfish issues here. So
Good job.
you can see this is where they're taking the sand from. This is where they're moving it to. So
Right.
yeah, plovers, no shellfish.
Perfect. I'm going to move on to the last business of this meeting, which is under old business number 7, the status of the repair of Scudder Lane, Town Landing.
I have no additional information to share at this time. I did look at the DPW website, and I don't see any public sort of like comment hearings for this yet. Perhaps Councillor Clark has a better pulse on that beat, but
Okay.
I don't have any additional information to share at this time, other than when I am notified that there is public hearings forthcoming, I will let everyone in the shellfish community and committee know.
Great. Thank you, Nina. Councillor Clark. Are you still with us here? Okay, Chris.
I have a new laptop and I'm trying to understand how to use it.
Okay.
Thank you. I have no update. I have been in touch with the town manager, and I said that there were concerns that the stakeholders have had regarding the 10% plan as presented by the DPW to the Conservation Commission. So I don't have an update. I just say stay vigilant. If there is to be a public meeting in the fall, this is now fall,
Right.
and all I can say is we'll be in touch. I'm assuming that the Shellfish Constable, Amy, will be in touch with the stakeholders, and I will do my best to be involved and inform the stakeholders as best as possible. But now I have been reassigned from the Shellfish Committee to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I can serve both. Although they meet at the same time, I can by email and communicating through the chair, I can keep in touch with the status of the proposed improvements to the Scudder Lane landing. And although the stakeholders made it clear they wanted a minimalist approach to the design, it's not necessarily what was presented at the Conservation Commission meeting. So part of it is stay tuned.
Right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much. So
Any questions for Councilor Clark or for Natural Resources from the committee? No? Great. Do we have any matters not reasonably anticipated by myself? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
You have a motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Great. And so we'll go a roll call. Start with Bill,
Aye.
Patricia,
Aye.
Tyler,
Aye.
DJ,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
and myself. I vote in the affirmative. Did I miss anybody? I think not. I'll see you all. Everybody have a nice end of your October, and I'll see you next month. And we're, just so we all know, next month is a Zoom month as well. We also
Okay.
revert back to 6 o'clock.
Enough said.
Back at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Super. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye all.